We are Dad and Rock, and this is Peacemaker Rewind. Tonight we're talking about Episode 2, Best Friends for Never, where we learn a little bit more about Vigilante, who, anyway, we'll talk about him. But yeah, Episode 2.
There we go. No, if you're watching us from last week, we forgot to even talk about Vigilante because I know. This dude is the actual waiter from the restaurant when he's out back, doing his kick-ass moves, and he gets, all of a sudden he's got to explain that he's happy that his girlfriend's having an abortion, an abortion party.
You talk about awkward scenes, man.
Yeah,
that was gruesome.
That was one of those like what? But,
yeah,
I mean, the minute they showed him, I was like, oh, that's Vigilante. That's got to be him. There's no way that's not him. And he's so awkward. He's so just out there. That's who we're looking for.
Yeah, the last episode was he's the one that was leaving Peacemaker all those voicemails too that he was checking when he.
Oh yeah, you called him P and V.
Yeah, then he had to call back to correct himself.
Called you a penis and me a vagina.
Yeah, like, you can tell that this character, like, it's so funny how quickly they introduce these characters, and you know exactly what they're like from the jump.
Yeah,
and this is apparently a character that Peacemaker maybe knew as a kid, and
well, I don't know. No, I don't think he did.
Well, no, I guess he doesn't,
because he said he has no idea who his actual identity is.
Yeah,
and he said, "Well, that's why you went to jail, and I didn't. All they're going to have is a red visor, and they'll have no idea who I am. I'll have skinny cheekbones, and that's it."
But he does know who. Like he hasn't connected that the kid that he knows from the restaurant, because he did recognize that kid. Apparently, it was a friend of a brother of one of his old friends.
Something down those lines, yeah.
Yeah. So this guy is like looked up to, Chris's character forever, apparently, and maybe that's the whole reason he became a superhero. Who knows?
Yeah, that's very possible, and that's exactly what happened. But yeah, I mean, we like I said, we kind of glossed over that last episode, so we get into this one here. That's funny.
Yeah, well, we pick up this episode right where we left off the last one, which is cool. Like, there's no time jumps that you don't have to like worry about if you missed anything or like wonder where we're at. Just the way Suicide Squad went into episode 1. Episode 1 goes right into episode 2, and he's freaking out. He just killed this metahuman. He's in the parking lot of this.
Well, he's wondering who the hell she is. Why? Well, what is this? What's going on? He gets back up in the hotel and he calls a Harcourt, and she's like, "Oh, he screwed a butterfly." Then they're scrambling. They got to get there. They know the cops are coming. They're like, okay, how do we get him out of this situation that he found himself in?
Yeah, Harcourt actually, there's urgency there. She leaves the hotel in a hurry. She bangs on the room next door on the window to where
Adebayo or
Adebayo. I'm just gonna end up calling her Waller's daughter, just because I know Amanda Waller as a character more than I know her. I think Adebayo is her name. But she also see Adebayo's in there with the dogs and her wife, or which she kind of takes mental note of later. She brings it up as they're traveling to this apartment building where Peacemaker's at. She does bring it up. She's like, "That's dangerous. That's not safe.
What's in your room is dangerous."
Yeah, which is good advice, and I think Adebayo acts on that later in this episode.
Yeah, and there's pushback immediately.
Yeah,
you see, there's going to be conflict between them, because I think when they went into the situation, they didn't think she was going to be in such a dangerous position, or she didn't lead on. Kind of like when someone's deployed and they don't tell the family members exactly what they've seen or where they were.
Yeah,
it's kind of that type of situation. So now that she's actually being forward with her and saying, "This is what's going on. I was shot at today, and it's not safe for you and the dogs to be here." That's when I think, either she's going to push back, say, "I'm not leaving you here. Either I'm going and you're coming with me, or I'm staying."
Yeah.
And that's going to be the interesting dynamic between those two going forward.
Yeah, and it's a strange dynamic as far as, how Waller's involved in all this. Like, I guess I would believe that Waller would put her own daughter in harm's way if it meant securing the mission. I mean, that's kind of her MO, right? But maybe not. I don't know.
But does she almost trust Peacemaker enough for something not to go that sideways, even though he's a weird, ridiculous, sideways nut job?
Yeah,
he showed loyalty to her during Starfish.
True. Yeah.
So would he do everything in his power for these people and her daughter not to get hurt if something went sideways?
Right.
I mean, that may be a little bit of a reach. We may see more of that later on. And if you guys know, Don't let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the
no,
one
we're
time I'm
just
gonna tell you
going through.
not to comment on it.
We're doing this rewind one episode at a time here. So, yeah, so we go back to this, apartment building outside of it. We're in the parking lot. The cops are pulling up, and they're already there. They're investigating this crime scene. There's a big crater. There's cars blown everywhere. And one deputy comes up and she picks up what she thinks is a slice of pizza in the street. And the other detective is like, I'm pretty sure that's a human face. It was so gross. She was just like holding it up with a pen. It was like so gross.
And then drops it.
Yeah. Just the humor in this show. It's dirty and it's like it makes you kind of like shake your head a little bit. And
there's a lot of cringeworthy stuff in here. Like, oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it is funny though. It is funny. Yeah, so Peacemaker, he goes back up to the apartment, the one that they just, they wrecked. Him and this butterfly. Or this
yeah, dude. I mean, there's like dryer hoses hanging out of the wall.
Oh, yeah.
It was clear that something went down.
What I laughed at too, he starts stealing stuff, but it's like, why not?
Records.
Yeah, this lady's dead. She tried to kill him. Why not take some of that stuff that you want?
He needed to get dressed. So it was funny just watching him get dressed again for a second time now in 2 episodes, and then him taking all the records and then throwing them over the balcony as he's jumping from them.
Yeah, as he was like trying to take all this stuff with him in this bed sheet, this makeshift bag that he made. Besides the records, he did find this weird glowing.
There's something more to be told about that.
Yeah, some kind of object that I'm sure will be more important as we go.
Well, later in the episode, he actually plays with it a little bit.
Yeah,
and it turns into some disc something.
Shield or
It was crazy looking. So we're definitely going to get more of that here in episode 3. There's no way we don't.
Yeah, it was like a transformer or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah, but when he's running from the cops, he goes down he goes up a level, I think, on the building to level 6. Of course, he would go up. Right. No one goes down closer to the ground.
Right.
And he runs into this. He goes into this apartment. And he runs into this couple, which was hilarious to start with. Yeah, he starts talking to the guy. The guy's going to help him. Then his wife comes out and gets mad at him for wanting to help him. And oh man, the whole dynamic between that scene.
It was funny because he was acting as though he didn't really want to inconvenience them, but he had to do what he needed to do. He was trying to play it off with the guy at first until finally he just had to barge his way in. And he was like, I got to tie you up. And just the dynamic between the two, I guess they're married, right? This married couple.
I think so. Yeah. Well, then he keeps on telling how she wants to screw him, Peacemaker. And
she sees his Cinderella album and she's all about it. Apparently, she's got an instant connection with this big, muscly, handsome guy who likes Cinderella.
I mean, there's a shocker. But then the husband realizes what's going on. He gets all defensive and she starts yelling at him. They go back and forth. And the last part was when he gagged her. The husband laughed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, these two have some issues for sure. They need to work it out.
I don't think it's the end of them. I think we're going to get more.
Yeah.
I really think there's going to be more because we have Adebayo come in and she has to go ahead and bribe them, into not being Peacemaker there.
Right.
Which is fun by itself because you can tell she's terrible at this. Yeah. I don't know I don't know what her skills are yet. I really don't.
I don't know either, besides that kind of one clue where she was talking to her mom and she was kind of given a briefing on, what her evaluation of the rest of the team was so far. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it or what, or maybe she's a metahuman or something. We have no idea yet.
Oh, that's true. What if she's a butterfly?
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah.
If she's a butterfly within them and Waller actually knows.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And that's why Eagle bit her.
Oh yeah, maybe. Who knows? Hey,
look at that! Oh, okay, now we're having fun with this now.
Yeah. So there's a lot of action this episode, and Peacemaker was cracking me up. He's like Santa Claus. He's got this big sack, this bed sheet full of stuff that he's stealing from this apartment. He finally, jumps out of the window of this apartment building, and he's got to go from balcony to balcony down and. I mentioned before, with superheroes, usually they have that superhero landing and they kind of land on the knee and it's very powerful. But every time
they're posers.
Yeah, they're posers. Every time he was banging his bad shoulder or bumping his knee, and it was just awkward, awful landings.
And why was he jumping from balcony to balcony? Okay, it's slapstick humor.
Right.
I get that. But when he was diving away from that woman that he was fighting, he just went out the window and just landed. I mean that little that canopy thing didn't break anything.
Right.
He hit the pavement, boom. So I mean, in theory, he could have done that again if he really wanted to. But I mean, I guess for
I just love the visual of him trying to
just,
go from balcony to balcony and hurting himself. It was funny.
boy, but yeah, he gets all the way down. He gets on like the final spot, and the cops finally figure out. They come around back.
Yeah.
And this is where we see Waller at it again. Not Waller, I'm sorry, Harcourt at it again.
Yeah.
She's hitting him with some type of darts. And
oh yeah, instantly put him to sleep. Yeah.
And he jumps off and once again lands on oh no, he lands on the trash can this time. So he bounces off the trash can onto the ground with that shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Does Peacemaker have any kind of like healing powers or anything? Because man, he had a building fall on him, and
I think he's just tough.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of his helmet, I don't think he has really any powers. Which I mean, that's cool by itself. That's Batman-ish.
True.
He's got his armor and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, from there, basically, they jump into the car and they're driving off and they're shooting at the car.
Yeah. And Adebayo, she pulls out of there in the car. She's like pumped. She's like screaming like victory. Like she's got a lot of adrenaline going.
Yeah, she's got adrenaline flowing through her body that I don't know if she's ever had that level of adrenaline. I mean, you never know how it's going to be until you're shot at. I mean, I hope no one feels that way.
They didn't forget to grab Eagly either. Eagly.
Eagly flew into the car.
Yeah.
But
he's with them.
But his car was back at the actual building.
Right.
And so Economy had to go ahead and change the tags and everything, register it to somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. And in the moment he picks Peacemaker's dad. Like he could pick anybody, and he picks Peacemaker's dad.
Why are you trying to frame his dad? Well, then they go to the door, and he's the biggest piece of crap. He starts, going on because the actual one of the cops. Well, I think both of them actually are, but they're both Asian descent. So one was Detective Sophie Sung, and I'm not sure the name of the other one off the top of my head.
But there were two detectives that were on scene the previous night.
Yeah, and those two actually showed up at the door.
Yeah,
wanting to question him, and he was having none of it. And he said something super racist, and she came back with something about a fork.
Oh yeah, well he called her a chopstick as he slammed the door. She was like, "You fork." And as the two detectives are walking back to their car, he's like, "Oh, you could have called him a spoon, because like a baby thing." And they were like, whatever. It's funny we get all the. It feels like we're seeing the scenes that are in between main scenes in the show, because a lot of times on regular normal shows you wouldn't get this weird like in between dialogue,
the weird back and forth where it's kind of like a little awkward-ish.
Right. This show relishes in the awkward.
This show lives in awkward. If it's not awkward, it's not doing its job.
Yeah. So yeah, we get another example of Peacemaker's dad just being just completely awful. And where's it go from there? So
Peacemaker gets out. He gets back to he's back to his trailer.
Yeah.
So he's back in his place. And this is where we actually see it. We've already talked about the scene, but where Waller is talking to Adebayo.
Right.
I'm saying her name wrong.
We probably both are, yeah.
But with Peacemaker back, he's freaking out now. He's having a breakdown moment when he's talking about Flag. Peacemaker, what a joke.
He starts punching his own injury, like he's kind of punishing himself. He doesn't feel very good about himself.
So you got that whole thing going on, and then and then we see Vigilante just standing in the window.
Yeah.
and Peacemaker thinks he's got his junk out, and he said, "No, I don't." Of course you'll say that. I'll turn around and see her. The whole.
He refuses to look. Yeah, Peacemaker brings up Louis C.K., which that's just like a very touchy. Like I used to love Louis C.K.'s show and stand up and anyway. But yeah, they go in this whole long diatribe about Louis C.K. and no, I know that's what he used to do. And Vigilante doesn't even know what he's talking about. I guess he never heard about what Louis C.K. did with people. Yeah, so finally Peacemaker looks, and of course Vigilante doesn't have his wang out or
So
anything.
why don't you go to the door like a normal person?
The coast is clear, and we see Vigilante. I mean, he looks like Snake Eyes from GI Joe or something. Like,
Yeah.
he's very professional. This isn't like a guy in spandex or something. Like, he looks like he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he looks like he's plenty capable of doing whatever he wants to do.
Yeah,
But he
and
walks in, he's like, you know, you need help cleaning up. He starts picking. You know, where do you put the VHS? With the VHS. Where do you put the CD? With the CDs. He put,
yeah, and I'm kind of dumbfounded a little bit because Peacemaker clearly doesn't have a lot of friends. I mean, he pushes people away. He's kind of a jerk to a lot of people.
yeah,
This guy clearly loves Peacemaker, and he's looking out for him. He's kind of a good wingman. He sees that Peacemaker's hurting. He wasn't crying. He was doing face exercises for
yeah.
muscles in his face. But he's like, hey, man, we're both killers. And, of course you enjoy squeezing the life out of people, just like me. But we
Well, he was
kill
like, "Do you
bad
think
guys.
I enjoy doing this and that and this?"
Yeah,
Of
I
course I
do.
do.
And you do too. Which it was like, it's so funny because this guy's voice, Vigilante's voice and his demeanor, you wouldn't really think of him as like a maniac, like they're saying that they are about each other. But
Yeah.
no, this guy's kind of off as a rocker too.
Oh no, he's way. He's not even on the rocker.
Yeah.
He's not even on the rocker. Well, then I mean, we talked about the gags. Oh, he's in the living room, pick it up, clean up the living room, and he pulls open, let's just say a toy, and he is like, it's a sideways smile.
It's a modified flashlight that
Oh,
adds other functionality. Yeah.
oh man, right along with the other gag from the first episode, I've got a feeling this is gonna be a running gag throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be looking for it now. If I
Yeah.
don't see it, I'm gonna be disappointed because I'm
I
looking for
know.
these awkward,
We're two of
really
two.
goofy jokes.
Yep. So he knows that Peacemaker's feeling bad. He's like, come on, man. When you were gone, I collected a bunch of appliances. You're like, I don't know what that could mean as a viewer. You're like, what does that mean? And they go
Why
out
do
to the
you?
woods and they just start shooting old appliances with
And you
guns,
see like
bows and
how
arrows.
like how precise they are with their shots.
Yeah.
Both of them are like expert marksmen with it. I mean, they're shooting like peace signs and happy faces, and
Right.
shooting canisters off each other's heads and off each other's junk, and I mean all of this stuff. And it's like they're two kids in a candy store, and really the end of it is really what you see the joy, and
Mhm.
this is the joy we're speaking of here. It's great.
It's crazy.
I wasn't sure how to take the face that Peacemaker made when he had the dynamite go off behind him. It was almost like terror
He was a
and
little
then
scared, but then he was
excitement.
like exhilarated.
It was one of those. It was just two like emotions immediately that hit him, which
Yeah.
was what I mean. I think you can learn a lot from his character with that right there.
Right.
With just that one scene, you can see that he loves it and he's scared of it all at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So while Peacemaker's out there, like finding himself again in the woods, Abade was directed by the team to go bribe the couple from the apartment, basically, so they don't finger Peacemaker as the person that was in the apartment building that night. Which I guess it works. We don't see the guy again. I guess maybe he goes on this vacation, and his wife we
Oh,
do see
oh,
again.
his wife goes on a vacation too. She goes for quite a ride.
Yeah, yeah, she does. And while she's in bed with Peacemaker and
And
Vigilante,
Vigilante with his
he
mask
kept his mask
on.
on. Yeah, it was so funny. This is the part where, yeah, Peacemaker takes out that blue glowing thing from that apartment building and it transforms in front of him.
Yeah, it's like a little shield, like right on his hand.
Yeah, all
So it's
three of
like
them were like, "Whoa."
yeah, and that was pretty much it with Peacemaker.
Yeah,
But we see his dad get arrested,
right,
and then they walk him into jail. And then when he walks in, my first thought was, "Oh, he's gonna get his ass kicked."
right.
That was my first thought because they were like, "Oh, look who it is." They were excited to see him. Like, "Oh, you put me here, or you didn't." You know what I mean? Kind of like the whole Batman, Joker thing.
Right.
And come to find out, he walked right over to that guy sitting on the bench, singled him out, told him to move. And dude's like, "I'm not dying for a seat."
Right.
Because he looked around, he realized, "Oh, this is not a good situation."
Yeah, he immediately has like 7 or 8 guys just like bowing before him and
Oh, they
hailing
all
him.
kneel before him, and
Yeah, and they call him the White Dragon, so apparently maybe that was his supervillain name.
and it was almost. I mean, they were saluting too, weren't they? Cross chest saluting, and it was
Yeah, it
man.
looked like the Nazi salute. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
we're
I
about
was
to see.
trying to
Yeah.
get find a way around.
Right.
but,
Well, whoops.
but,
Sorry, YouTube.
but yeah, I mean, where are we going? Because if he finds out the team that Peacemaker's working with went ahead and actually were the ones that basically framed him for this, will there be a conflict between Peacemaker and his dad?
I think we definitely have a conflict coming between those two because earlier in the first episode, we saw like Peacemaker was trying to tell his dad, like, I'm not into this racist stuff anymore that you are. You know, like, because Peacemaker was like, yeah, I'll give you this helmet as long as you go out and kill. And he was dropping all kinds of racist epithets.
Yeah.
And, Peacemaker was just shaking his head like he's kind of under his dad's thumb. And his dad's very, he has that power over people, apparently, in this jail scene, we see that.
Yeah.
So, he's trying to break free from that and break free from his past. So that's a story point I think we're definitely going to get.
So as a whole, this episode was great. The slapstick humor,
Yeah.
Learning more about Vigilante, a little bit more about the basically into the the ego or the mindset
psyche,
of Peacemaker.
the
Psyche, that's where I was working for. Yeah, psyche. Thank you. Of Peacemaker. This show is, I mean, to this point, I can understand why the hype was so big and why why word of mouth was getting it more and more along the way. And apparently, at one point, this was actually the biggest streaming show when it was going up against Boba Fett.
Which is, I mean, Star Wars.
Yeah,
that's bigger than Star Wars.
And this is a spin-off of a character that nobody knew of.
Yeah.
And it got to be that large. So I'm looking forward to watching episode 3 and forward to see where we go going forward.
Yeah, so we're going to be back next week to talk about episodes 3 and 4. We're dropping 2 episodes a week as we go through all 8 episodes of Peacemaker during our Peacemaker Rewind, so be sure to join us.